Hello and welcome to the Serendipity Travel Podcast. If you love hearing about unique and heartwarming travel stories, you're definitely in the right place. Today we're diving into one of America's true treasures, Yellowstone National Park. I'll be breaking down everything you need to know for an unforgettable 2025 adventure, from tourism trends and booking tips to hidden gems, road updates, and the spontaneous moments that make travel magical. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth, or just daydreaming about geysers and grizzlies, you're going to love what's ahead. Let's hit the road. Yellowstone is calling.
Thinking about those wide open spaces, maybe Old Faithful going off or spotting some really incredible wildlife, Yellowstone National Park might just be calling your name.
It definitely has that pull, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And if you're like us, the idea of a trip, whether you're planning for the family, as a couple, or, heading out solo, it just sparks all sorts of exciting possibilities.
It really does.
Yeah.
But with a park as huge as Yellowstone, actually turning those dreams into a solid plan can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming.
That is exactly why we're doing this. Forget getting bogged down in endless web searches.
Yeah.
This deep dive, it's kind of like your shortcut to the good stuff. The essential info you need right now to plan an amazing Yellowstone adventure. Or maybe just, fuel those daydreams a little.
And we've pulled together insights from, well, all over the place. We've got the latest news on tourism trends, official updates from the National Park Service, things like backcountry permits, road openings.
Yeah, the important stuff.
Exactly. And also those really valuable tips and stories you get from fellow travelers, like on blogs and forums.
Think of us as your filter, basically. We've waded through it all to bring you the highlights. Our mission today, it's pretty simple. We want to give you the practical info, for sure.
Right.
But also spark your imagination. Think spontaneous adventures, those little travel tips that make a big difference, maybe pointing out a hidden gem or two.
And sharing some real stories get you inspired.
Precisely. So let's dive in. What's the current scene looking like for visiting Yellowstone as we head into the main 2025 season?
Okay, so first up, the tourism landscape. It seems like 2025 might look a little different from past years.
How so?
Well, based on comments from folks like Wyoming State Senator Mike Giroux and the Jackson Hole Chamber of Commerce, the expectation is for maybe more American visitors this year.
Interesting. So fewer international travelers, potentially?
That seems to be the prediction.
Yeah.
A bit of a shift.
And does that translate into bookings? What are the early signs there?
Well, the Jackson Hole Chamber did release a 60-day outlook. This was back at the end of March.
Okay.
And it showed that hotel bookings for June and July around Jackson Hole were looking maybe a little softer compared to the same point in 2024.
So potentially a slightly less crowded early summer in that specific area?
Could be, but it's not slow across the board.
Oh, right.
The outlook for August and September bookings in Jackson Hole was actually quite optimistic. They said pretty much on par with last summer.
Good to know. And what about other gateway towns, like Cody?
Yeah, near the east entrance around Cody, there's apparently an initial dip in reservations, but the good news is those seem to have bounced back.
Okay, so a bit of variation depending on the area and the time of summer. Now, something called DOGE cuts came up in the sources. What's that about?
Right, the term surfaced. From the reports, it seems there were some concerns that potential budget adjustments, these so-called DOGE cuts, might lead to reductions in park services.
Things like campground openings, cleanliness, stuff that really affects visitors.
Exactly. But we also saw reassurance from Mike Keller. He's the general manager for Yellowstone National Park Lodges.
And what did he say?
He basically said their operations are unaffected and they're looking forward to a great season. So while the concern was raised, it seems the core visitor experience shouldn't be impacted by that.
That's definitely a relief for anyone planning a trip. It really shows you need to check official sources. Did the sources mention anything about the types of visitors expected?
Yeah, Senator Giroux predicted maybe fewer of the big bus tours, which often bring international groups.
All right.
And perhaps more independent travelers, including what he called the senior circuit.
Oh, so maybe a slightly different vibe at some popular spots?
Possibly, yeah. It could influence things a bit. Now, the broader economy also got a mention. Concerns about a potential recession impacting travel.
Yes, one article did touch on that. It impartially reported that some financial institutions see a, relatively high chance of recession.
And historically, that can affect travel budgets.
Right, so it's just something out there, a potential factor for people to consider as they budget and plan their own trips. We're just relaying what the sources mentioned.
Absolutely. And sticking with potential reasons for fewer international visitors, one source did list some negative commentary.
Ah, yes. Things like an EU travel advisory, speculation about marketing, even fear of detention were mentioned.
Again, it's important we stress these were specific viewpoints reported in that source.
Exactly. We're not endorsing them, just sharing the breadth of the discussion that's out there about Yellowstone tourism this year.
Right. So putting all that context together, someone's excited, they're ready to plan. What's the first big step? Booking.
Booking. Yeah, and Yellowstone is incredibly popular. I mean, think about it. Almost 1 million people visited in July 2023 alone.
Wow.
So planning ahead, especially for summer, is absolutely key.
When you say ahead, how far ahead are we talking for, say, lodging inside the park?
We're talking way ahead. For the Yellowstone National Park lodges and the NPS campgrounds, you can book some of those up to 13 months in advance.
13 months.
Yeah. The websites you need are recreation.gov for the campgrounds and YellowstoneNationalParkLodges.com for the hotels and cabins inside the park.
Okay, so book early. What if your dates are already full for the in-park options?
Then you pivot to the gateway towns. Gardner, West Yellowstone, Jackson, Cody, Cook City, they all have options.
Hotels, motels, rentals.
Exactly. But even those can fill up fast for summer. You really want to try and book those by February or March if you can.
Still pretty early then.
Definitely. And hey, don't give up entirely on in-park lodging if it looks full initially. Keep checking back for cancellations. People's plans change.
Good tip. Persistence pays off sometimes. What about avoiding the peak summer rush altogether? Shoulder seasons.
Yeah, spring and fall, the mud seasons, as some call them, definitely have fewer crowds. You might get away with booking lodging maybe 3 to 8 months ahead then.
Early fall seems popular now.
It really is. Great colors, fewer people. But spring can be tricky. A lot of park roads and lodging don't even open until May, and you can still get winter weather.
Right. And what about actual winter visits, snow coaches and all that?
Oh, winter's magical, but very limited. Only 2 lodges open inside the park, Mammoth Hotel and the Old Faithful Snow Lodge.
And you got to book those super early, too.
You bet. 13 months ahead is the norm. Plus, remember, you can't drive your own car to Old Faithful in winter. You need to book a snow coach or snowmobile tour, and those book up way in advance, too.
So before even hitting book on lodging, it sounds like having a basic itinerary is pretty crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Yellowstone is huge. Driving between, say, Old Faithful and Lamar Valley takes hours.
Yeah.
Knowing roughly what you want to see helps you pick lodging in the right area and, actually manage your time effectively once you're there.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about getting around. Roads. Always a big question mark in Yellowstone, especially early season. What are the 2025 projections?
Key thing first. All these dates are projected. Weather is king in Yellowstone.
Always.
The only road that's usually open year-round to cars is the northern one. Gardner, Montana, through Tower Junction to Cook City.
Okay, so that stretch is generally reliable. What about the main entrances?
For 2025, they're aiming for April 18th for the west entrance to open up to Madison, Old Faithful, and Norris. Also Mammoth to Norris, and Norris to Canyon Village should open then too.
Okay, mid-April. For a good chunk of the western side. What's next?
Around May 2nd, they're projecting the east entrance to Lake Village that's over Sylvan Pass, and the road from Canyon Village down to Lake Village will open.
Sylvan Pass can hold snow late, right?
It definitely can. Then, around May 9th, the south entrance should open up to West Thumb, and the roads connecting West Thumb to Old Faithful, that's Craig Pass, and West Thumb over to Lake Village. Also, Tower Roosevelt to Tower Fall.
So early to mid-May unlocks quite a bit more. What about the high roads like Dunraven Pass?
That one's usually last. The projection for Canyon Village to Tower Fall over Dunraven Pass is May 23rd. It's a high elevation road, great views, but takes longer to clear.
Got it. So, fingers crossed, by late May, most internal roads should be open. What about those scenic routes outside the park, like Beartooth Highway?
Ah, yeah, Beartooth and Chief Joseph Scenic Byway, their opening dates are listed as to be determined.
And those are managed by the Park Service, right?
Correct. They're outside the northeast entrance, managed by Wyoming and Montana DOTs. So you need to check their websites for updates on those specific scenic drives.
Okay, now construction delays. Nobody loves them, but they happen. Anything major planned for 2025?
Yep. Looks like a few spots to be aware of. Near the south entrance, on the South Entrance Road, there's work on the Lewis River Bridge all season.
Expect delays there.
Up to 20 minutes, potentially. And some nearby pullouts, and the trail to Lewis River Falls will be closed because of it.
Good to know if you're coming in from Grand Teton. Anywhere else?
Yes. Around the Old Faithful interchange, there's drainage work planned. Could mean delays up to 30 minutes.
Oh,
And near Tower Junction on the northeast entrance road, they're replacing the Yellowstone River Bridge. That could also mean delays up to 30 minutes.
big project.
It is. Might be temporary trail closures nearby too, but the upside is eventually there'll be new pullouts, better parking, and improvements at the Yellowstone River picnic area there.
A bit of short-term pain for long-term gain, hopefully.
Yeah.
How can folks get the absolute latest road info when they're actually traveling?
The park makes it pretty easy. Best bet is the live road status map on the official NPS Yellowstone website. Just search Yellowstone road conditions.
Okay.
You can also call a recorded info line at 307-344-2117, or even better maybe, sign up for text alerts. Text 82190 to the number 888-777.
Text alerts, nice and easy. Okay, let's shift to the more adventurous folks backcountry camping. What's the deal with permits?
Okay, rule number 1. Backcountry permits are required year-round for any overnight stay out there, not optional.
Even for just one night.
Yep. Any overnight stay. Now, just day hiking. No permit needed for that.
Got it. So how do you get one of these permits?
Best way, especially if you have specific dates or campsites in mind, is reserving online at recreation.gov. About 3/4, 75% of the sites are reservable in advance.
And there's a lottery system too, right?
Yes, an early access lottery. You apply between March 1st and 20th. If you get drawn, you get notified around March 25th and have a window in early April, the 1st to the 25th, to book your trip before everyone else.
Is there a fee for the lottery?
$10, non-refundable, just to apply for the lottery. Then, if you miss that or don't get picked, the general online reservations open up starting April 26th for whatever's left.
Okay. And what are the actual camping fees?
Besides the potential lottery fee, there's a $5 per person per night recreation fee. And there's a $10 reservation fee, whether you book online or get a walk-up permit.
Can you change your plans once you have a permit?
You can modify things like campsites or group size if there's availability, but you can't change the start date of your trip without canceling and rebooking completely. And permits are generally non-transferable, though you can name one alternate leader when you book.
When's the best time to actually go backpacking in Yellowstone?
Prime time is usually late June through September. Before that, May and early June, you've often got too much snow high up, and streams are running really high from snowmelt.
Right, dangerous crossings.
Can be, yeah. Sometimes those high water levels last into July. Early or late season hiking really needs good navigation skills. Oh, and if you're thinking of using horses or llamas, stock use isn't allowed for overnight trips until July 1st.
What if you're more of a spontaneous traveler? Can you just show up and get a permit?
You can definitely try. The park holds back at least 25% of backcountry sites specifically for walk-up permits.
How's that work?
You go in person to one of the park's backcountry offices, and you can get a permit up to 2 days before your trip starts if sites are available. You can even check recreation.gov beforehand, look for a W or a number in the availability field for a site that often indicates walk-up potential.
That's great for flexibility. Once you have the permit, what's critical knowledge for camping out there?
Food storage, absolutely number 1. Every designated backcountry site has either a food pole or a bear box.
And you need rope for the poles.
Yep, if it's a pole site, you got to bring your own rope, at least 35 feet long, to hang your food bag correctly high up and away from the pole and branches.
Good detail. And speaking of bears, let's talk safety overall. Yellowstone is wild.
It really is, and bear safety is paramount. Remember, all of Yellowstone is bear country. Assume they could be anywhere.
The distance rule.
Minimum 100 yards from bears and wolves. Never, ever approach them. Carry bear spray, know how to use it, keep it handy, not in your pack.
Check the expiration date too.
Definitely. Hike in groups if possible, make noise. Hey, bear! Now and then. Respect all closures, never feed wildlife. Keep food and scented items secure, always with you or properly stored.
What if a bear approaches your car?
Honk the horn, drive away slowly, don't linger.
Okay, what about bison? They look calm, but
But they injure more people than bears. Seriously. Stay at least 25 yards away from bison and elk.
25 yards. Got it.
Watch for warning signs if one seems agitated. Bluff charging, head bobbing, pawing the ground. If you see that, back away immediately. Run if you have to. Bear spray can work on a charging bison too.
Wow. And elk.
Be careful with cow elk in the spring. They hide their calves near trails and buildings and can be very protective. And bull elk get aggressive during the fall rut. Same rule, 25 yards minimum. If one charges, find cover car, building, sturdy tree.
And for any emergency.
Dial 911 if you have service, or find a park ranger as soon as possible.
Okay, vital safety info. Let's lighten it up a bit, packing. What essentials should someone bring for a summer Yellowstone trip?
Layers, layers, layers. Summer weather is all over the place. Sun, cold, rain, sometimes in one day.
So sun protection.
Absolutely. Hat, sunscreen, lip balm with SPF. Polarized sunglasses are great for cutting glare and spotting wildlife.
And for seeing that wildlife.
Camera with a zoom lens is ideal. Binoculars or a spotting scope are fantastic additions. And if hiking, bear spray in a holster.
Clothing layers.
Definitely a fleece or a puffy jacket for cool mornings and evenings. A waterproof rain jacket is a must.
What else?
Reusable water bottle, phone, and power bank. Maybe some extra toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Bug spray, Pickardin-based, is often recommended. A basic first aid kit with blister care.
Optional stuff.
Swimsuit and quick dry towel if you plan to swim. Moisturizer if you're not used to dry air. Fishing gear if you have a license.
And specific gear for hikers.
Good day pack, maybe 20 liters. Broken-in hiking boots, wool or synthetic socks. Quick dry clothes, maybe a guidebook, map, trekking poles. Bring groceries, maybe stock up outside the park for better price selection. Cooler, plates, utensils, cutting board, knife, reusable containers. Maybe a tablecloth for a nice touch.
And for the campers.
All the picnic stuff. Plus, waterproof tent, warm sleeping bag rated 32F or lower, insulated sleeping pad R value 2.5 plus, thermal base layers for sleeping, warm hat, gloves, headlamp, stove, fuel pots, dishwashing stuff, camp chairs. Maybe a kitchen tarp or bug shelter.
Wow, comprehensive. What shouldn't people bring?
Drones, big no-no in national parks, fancy clothes, totally unnecessary. And please, no elk buglers or trying to imitate wolf calls. Leave that to the animals.
Good list. Okay, let's get a real-time feel. What did the This Week in Yellowstone report say for mid-April 2025?
Right. So for April 17th to 23rd, some roads were open the north to northeast and the west entrance to several points.
But east and south entrances still closed then.
Correct, as of that report. And Dunraven Pass still looking at that later May 23rd target.
Did it have any fun facts?
Yeah. A little history tidbit. 100 years ago, in 1925, the park opened for cars on June 18th. Much later than now.
Huh. Interesting. Any tips for visiting right now, mid-April?
Suggested visiting the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone overlooks. Lower overlook at Artist Point was expected to be open. Upper probably still snow-covered.
And wildlife viewing reminders.
Just reiterated the distance rules, 100 yards bears, wolves, 25 yards others, and encouraged politely reminding people or reporting persistent bad behavior to rangers, maybe note license plates if needed.
Always good reminders. How is the weather looking?
Pretty chilly across the board. Lamar Valley, Cook City, West Yellowstone, Gardner. Potential for more snow that week. Snowpack was near normal.
Road conditions.
Generally good on the open roads, but expect more construction vehicles and those delays near Tower Junction for the bridge project.
Did they have a trail idea of the week?
They did. Firehole Canyon Road. It's close to cars this time of year, so you can walk it. Yeah, great views of the canyon, waterfalls, there's an osprey nest. Might need snowshoes depending on conditions. But even a short walk to the swimming area could be nice and quiet.
Sounds like a neat off-season opportunity.
Ah.
Okay, lastly, let's tap the hive mind. Reddit. Any wisdom from the Yellowstone community there?
We saw a thread debating the best time to visit, late April versus early October 2025.
And the verdict?
Overwhelmingly favored early October.
Why's that?
More facilities open than in April. Way fewer crowds than summer, chance for fall colors, and apparently more active wildlife prepping for winter.
Makes sense. What were the knocks against April?
Basically still winter, lots of snow, many road closures, potential for icy conditions, fewer crowds, yes, but major limitations.
Any other timing advice from Reddit?
Mention mid-May can be a gamble for road openings, and crowds really pick up around Memorial Day. But the main advice was consistent. Always check the official NTS website for the real-time opening dates and info. Don't just rely on forums.
Sound advice. Okay, wrapping this all up, what's the main takeaway for someone planning or just dreaming of Yellowstone?
I think the big message is, yes, planning ahead is really important, especially for summer or if you want specific lodging. But Yellowstone offers incredible adventures and unique experiences throughout its whole open season. Don't just focus on the peak.
Right. Whether you're a super planner or more spontaneous, there's amazing stuff to discover.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance. Have a plan, definitely, but be open to those unexpected moments, the surprise wildlife sighting, the detour down a less traveled road, finding that perfect picnic spot. That's often the magic.
It really is. For families, couples, solo travelers, there's that mix of planning and serendipity that makes a trip special.
So, embrace the planning, get excited about the possibilities, but leave a little room for Yellowstone to surprise you. Picture that geyser, that bison herd, that hidden view.
It's a place that rewards both preparation and spontaneity.
It absolutely is. So hit follow so you never miss a moment of the journey. And we'll leave you with this. With so much to see and experience, what's the very first Yellowstone wonder that sparks your sense of adventure?
All right, guys, that wraps up today's adventure through Yellowstone. I hope you're feeling inspired and maybe even a little more prepared to chase the wonder and wildness that only a place like Yellowstone can offer. Remember, the best trips are a mix of smart planning and those magical, unplanned moments you'll never forget. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the Serendipity Travel Podcast and share it with a fellow explorer who's ready for their next big adventure. Until next time, keep the spirit of serendipity alive. And remember, life is in session. Vlog it.